All right. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining. How's everybody doing? Great. Woo. Okay, let's get started. So my name is Sujit Kaimo, and I represent a big team of engineers, machine learning scientists, marketers, everybody that has spent months and months to build this amazingly important capability inside of Amazon Connect. And I'm going to talk all about it. And my goal is not to just talk about how it works, but show you exactly what you have to do to make it work end to end. So my job here, the next 1 hour is to make sure each one of you know how to use Amazon Connect forecasting, capacity planning, and scheduling to optimize your workforce. Okay, so let's get started. So before I talk about workforce optimization and about the Amazon Connect forecasting, capacity planning, scheduling capabilities, I'll talk about Amazon Connect. Amazon Connect is a global cloud-based omni-channel contact center solution that delivers hyper-personalized experience to our customers. So what does it mean? What's the difference? What's the differentiation? What's the value add with Amazon Connect? Number one, it can be set up in minutes, not hours, not days. And that's one of the core differentiations that we have seen. And that's why we have a lot of customers using it. That's one thing. The second thing is about the scale. You can scale to any workload, any size workload. So it could be few agents to tens and thousands of agents. And one of the most important things that the customers have loved about Amazon Connect is about the pay-as-you-go model. That means you only pay for the value consumed. Right? The more you use, obviously, the more you pay. The less you use, the less you pay. And a lot of customers love that model. And it's no wonder past 5 years, one of the fastest growing AWS service in the history of AWS, actually. So we have tens and thousands of customers using Amazon Connect, and they handle at least 10 million contacts every day in total. So why do we venture into this whole Amazon Connect forecasting, capacity planning, and scheduling? And I think what we have heard from our customers is, we work backwards from a customer pain points and then build capabilities that delight them. So what have we heard from our customers? Number one, it's all about meeting or beating your service level goals or your business or operational goals. So what does it mean? So I think 2 KPIs that always customers have talked about. Number one is service level targets. So what is service level target? The customers, the ability to at least answer X percentage of contacts within Y seconds. So that's kind of the KPI the customers measure. And what we have heard is that a lot of customers struggle to achieve that just right balance of getting that service level target without overstaffing, without having a lot of agents. And that's one thing. The second thing is about, even if you have a lot more agents, the other KPI that you can measure is occupancy. And the more the agents that you staff, the lesser the occupancy. The less agents you staff, the higher the occupancy. And what is occupancy? Occupancy is the amount of time your agents, contact center agents, spend answering the contacts to customers and taking notes, et cetera. And so it ties to, at the end, attrition. Because the more that more unpredictable the schedules are for them, it becomes challenging for them to, focus on the work. The more, they overwork, obviously, the more attrition it is. So that's what we have seen in the last couple of years, especially with, with COVID and other macroeconomic changes. Customers have been struggling to run a contact center. And so what we did is to focus on getting data from customers to look at, hey, for their instance, how does the churn happens? And what can we do to improve that? So that's the first problem that they've talked about. How do we improve that, getting that right balance of having the right agents at the right time to achieve those business goals? And the second thing is about customer experience. And as you know, Amazon Connect, we focus on significantly good, amazingly simple customer experience. Be it whichever persona is handling it. Is it the end customer that the business, the US of business, serve? The agents and the supervisors and the schedulers and the forecasters, how the experience that they that we deliver as a tool. And what we have seen is that with the existing setup, with customers using third-party solutions, it's been challenging not only from day 2 or day 1, but day 0 challenges. So think about this, right? If you want to try another capability to manage your workforce, how long are you going to take, right? It's not going to be like hours and minutes. It's going to be days, weeks, if not months, right, to go switch. So the choice to try out different capabilities or different types of solutions is not very available for you, right? That's one of the day 0 challenges that a lot of customers have talked about. It's not easy for them to switch, like enable, integrate, and start generating value, like generating a forecast or generating a schedule. It's not easy, right? It takes a lot of time, money, and effort for you to do it. But that's the first challenge. The second challenge is about day 1 challenges. That means to configure the solution, it takes a lot of time, right? To get the right forecast, to get the right schedule, as well as day 2 challenges. As a supervisor, you got to keep on doing a lot of work, right, manually, in order to make sure that all the agents are available. If the agents are not available, what do you do to make sure that the agent come in at the right time to take those contacts when the contacts arrive? So that is about the customer experience, as well as, lastly, if you think about it, all of these adds together to very high costs, right? No flexibility for the agents, inability for delivering a right service levels for your business, as well as the whole attrition, so hiring and making sure that the right agents are available at the right time. It becomes challenging. So what do we do? So what do we do is to build a native, out-of-the-box capability to achieve all of those pain points, to solve all those problems that I talked about. So first and foremost, it is built into Amazon Connect. That means you don't have to go hire a SI partner. You don't have to go spend tons and tons about money to integrate the solution. It's native, out-of-the-box capability that you see. So I'm going to demo it to you as well and show you what it looks like. It just looks like Amazon Connect. So if you're used to Amazon Connect, if you're familiar with that, you're just going to get that, just the same similar experience. The second thing is about easy. The other pain point I talked about, it's not, it needs to be easy to train, the users, like the schedulers, the forecasters, the agents, the supervisors. We made it super easy to use the solution. The third value add is very critical. We have invested tons and tons in machine learning and artificial intelligence to make sure that we understand the contact volume, we understand the pattern, we understand the distribution of the contacts, we understand the seasonality, and deliver a very accurate forecast and very efficient schedule. So that is the amazingly third value add that we have. And lastly, we added more automated workflows. So again, the day 2 challenges I talked about, we need to make sure that supervisors and the agent would have the flexibility, would have automation that would help them, focus on things that are important to us, serve the customers, to look at the performance of the agent rather than doing manual tasks repeatedly. So we've invested a lot in that as well. Okay, so let me get into what are those capabilities that we launched yesterday that's generally available right now. One is the forecasting capability. The forecasting capabilities let you forecast the contact volumes and average handling times of all the contact, like chats and voice contacts coming in. And that would give you an accurate projection for the next 12 to 18 months. Second one is the capacity planning. So using that forecast that we generated, you'll be able to easily look at how much is the headcount required or FTEs required for the next 12 months to determine when to hire, what kind of skills you need, as well as look at the training ramp-up time, et cetera. So the capacity planning. Scheduling is all about what agent will work when, right? The interval level staffing, and every 15 minute, 30 minute, how many agents are required for you to take those contacts, and then building those schedules or shifts for them. That's number 3. And then obviously, you want to make sure during an intraday scenario, that you want to know what the agents are doing. Are the agents, if they're doing productive work, they're supposed to take a contact. Are they doing that in real time? You would be able to understand the status of that, as well as take actions as well if they are not adherent to the schedule. So that's schedule adherence. So these are the 4 things that we have delivered. So here's an at-a-glance slide just to show you all the capabilities. Again, this is just at a glance. So we will deep dive into all of this. And my job here is to quickly go through an end-to-end demo to show you live how easy it is for you to configure, to onboard, to configure, to create a forecast and create a schedule. Okay, and so I'm going to spend the next 40 minutes sitting here, by the way. And if you have any questions at the end of my session, there'll be at least 5-10 minutes for you to go on both sides. There's mics to ask any questions. Okay, so let's jump into the demo. And as you can see here, this is the Amazon Connect. But the first problem I talked about is it's challenging to enable a solution, right, for you to try. And what we did is the first is to attack that. So this is an AWS instance, and you've seen this many times. So let me refresh it just to make sure it did not log out. And I'm going to go into the Amazon Connect instance. And by the way, you can do that today. If you go into the Amazon Connect instance today, you'll be able to enable these capabilities with just a checkbox. So I'm going to go here. And this is the Amazon Connect instance. As you can see here, there's the forecasting, capacity planning, and scheduling. So in order for you to start this capability, is just to click this enable button. That's it. No more weeks, no more months. It takes just a few minutes or maybe a couple of hours, and this is done. So I'm going to keep this here, so let it run. And I have another instance which I enabled it so that we can continue. And I'm going to come back and show you how to disable it as well. Okay? So let's switch to another instance. And what you get once you enable this, once this is enabled, is under analytics and optimization, you have forecasting, capacity planning, and scheduling. That's what you get. So you have to enable that. The other thing you want to make sure is that there are additionally new security profiles that controls permissions for forecasting, capacity planning, and scheduling. So let me go to probably a contact center manager and show you the security profile that's required for forecasters, capacity planners, and schedulers. So here you have forecasting. So you'll be able to set access control, view, or edit access to forecasting. So if you checkbox this for a specific group of users, those users are your forecasters, and you'll be able to, or they will be able to start generating forecasts. This is for the capacity planning, and also this is for the setting the forecast interval and schedule interval, and I'll get to that. From a scheduling point of view, for schedulers, you need the set of tools called schedule manager tools that would help you build schedules. And after you publish it as a contact center manager, that's why this is checked, all the published schedules will be visible through this permission. So now you can say, hey, which users can view the schedules, which users can manage the schedule through the edit, right? So there are granular permissions for that. All right, so once you set the security profile permissions, by the way, I'm an admin user, so I have all the access here, so I can easily demo it. You go to forecasting here. Now, let me show you how easy it is to generate a forecast. The first thing you do is to set the forecast interval. Forecast interval, is either 15-minute or 30-minute. Those are the two we support. And if you set to 15-minute, the good thing about 15 minutes is more granular, right? It gives you more granular control, more accurate, per time-based control of your forecast and schedules. So that's a 15-minute. Once you set it, you can't unset it because all the next steps and all the functions will use that. But if you want to do it, you can always contact Amazon. We can reset for you as well. So once you set it, you go and look at your data. So if you're our Amazon Connect customer already, you already have contact volume data or historical data, so it would just automatically take that. So that's what, when you enable it, that's what's happening behind the scenes right here. It's just making sure that all the data is in the right place. It just makes sure that it's in the right format so that you can start generating those forecasts and schedules. Okay, so let's go import data. So if you're a new customer, by the way, I know that there's some of, how many of you are probably 3 months to 6 months with Amazon Connect? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, there's few. So if you're a new customer, you may want to bring in some data, and we want to make sure that it's easy for you to bring in data, right? So you can click upload data, and there's the format or template that you can use, and I have it here. So essentially, it's that the type of channel, the timestamp, the data about the handle time and contact volume. So once you have that, once you fill that in from your existing solution, let me go upload it for you here. And apply it. Now, boom, it's done. So now it's processing all the data. So it takes like a couple of seconds for you to make sure that this data gets uploaded. So once that is done, next thing to do is to go create forecast, right? So the data is there, and you create forecast. So the way that we build forecast is by grouping queues together. So if I go here in Amazon Connect, so these are the existing queues again. You can reuse it. You don't have to now create another set of queues and duplicate all the configurations, right? It's available for you already. So I have here Amazon refund queue 1 to 5. Let's see. Let's use queue number 2, for example. So I'm going to go create a forecast group with those queues. So I'm going to go to forecast groups, and I want to create queues here. So I'm going to create a forecast group, and I'm going to say it's a third forecast group. I created 3 here. So third forecast group. And as you can see, these are the 2 queues that's available, right? So you could easily drag and drop and save it. The reason why you create forecast group is that, so you have different kinds of lines of business, you have different types of contacts that come in that you may want to forecast based on that group, right? So a group of those type of contacts coming in as a group. So you can group them together, create a forecast group, as you can see here. That's the forecast group created. Now you go and create forecasts. So it's as easy as picking that forecast group that you created and selecting what kind of forecast you need, long-term and short-term forecast, and then you save it. That's it. The short-term forecast gets automatically delivered to you every day. So that, every day PST morning you wake up, or at 24-hour interval you would get that forecast. If it's a long-term forecast, it will be every weekly built. That's what we give you. So it's going to take tomorrow morning. So I already generated one for you here, and I'm going to go here and then show you that. So this is the forecast group. So here, this is the forecast for the forecast group, refund second forecast group, and let's go look at it. So the way that you can see, here's the short-term forecast and the long-term forecast. So I'm going to deep dive into the short-term forecast. You have the contact volume forecast and the average handle time. So the thing you need to know is that this is significantly complex methodology, because it has to look at multiple aspects to generate a very accurate forecast, right? It has to look at all the distribution of contacts, how it comes in. It has to look at the shrinkage. It has to look at many other things from the contact center point of view to adjust these forecasts. So let me switch to, say, a 15-minute, and I'm going to do it for probably yesterday, 29th, and see how it looks like. So it looks like your contact starts at, in the morning, and then it dies out in the evening. So it's kind of it's a staged data, by the way. So I'm going to say, this is the last computer forecast. I'm going to say, how does the actuals look like? For example, this is how the actuals look like, by the way. And this is all manually done, by the way. It's overridden actuals. So you will be able to now compare the actuals with the last computer forecast. So every day that the forecast gets generated and the days over, the actuals will be compared with the computer forecast. You can also look at the published forecast. How does it compare with the published forecast? So published forecast is here in black, and you can also look at the prior year. How does it look like from a prior year perspective? So it becomes very easy for you to compare these different data from different timelines to make sure that you're building the right accurate forecast. And obviously, you could also look at the variance as well. On here, you can look at the variance. So variance will help you compare the last published forecast with the actuals as well. So again, this is stage data. It doesn't look perfect, but you get the idea of how easy it is to generate a forecast. So you don't have to go import a lot of data, manually adjust things, and then re-upload it. and whatnot. However, we will give you the capability to override. For example, if you go back, by the way, down here, you'd see in the table format. So you'll be able to not only see the table format, you can download it, but also you'll be able to override some of these values. If you think that, for example, there are few agents coming in the coming weeks, they're new, so the average handle time is going to change. What you can do is to download the file, make those changes, re-upload it, and you'll be able to use that updated data. And then you can also group or filter based on queue and channels, et cetera. So it becomes very easy for the forecaster to manage their forecast. And once you're comfortable with that, you go ahead and publish the forecast. Okay, so that's forecasting in a nutshell. What we have seen, what we have heard from our customers, so we've had multiple customers try it, and what we have heard is the accuracy is significantly improved, and when I say significant, it's relative. Every customer has their own different types, the patterns of data, but in general, we have seen improvements in forecast accuracy, which has led to saving tons of money for the customer at the end. So that's forecasting quickly. So easy for you to do it. It's, there's a lot of manual effort here. You just, all the data from Amazon Connect is available. You'll be able to do a few clicks and you'll be able to generate these forecasts. Okay, so that's forecasting for you. Now let's go to capacity planning. The capacity planning module helps you deliver long-term strategic capacity plan. So it looks at all the historical data. It looks at the agent, shrinkage example, agent's time out of work, for example, or even in-office shrinkage where the agent is, doing breaks for lunch, is not actually doing contacts. So all those data is taken. You can also upload additional data if you want to. If you have agents doing other things outside of the contact center, for example, you'll be able to upload those data as well as the actual FTE, and you'll be able to generate capacity plans. So how do you do it? So first you create a scenario. Scenario helps you do what-if analysis. That means that you could say, okay, if I have a line of business in Asia and you want to try a new set of rules, for example, they have a 2% attrition every day, for example, or every week. They have, a shrinkage, which is different. All of that can be scenario-based, and you can create multiple scenarios to try how much capacity is required to achieve those service level targets. So I'm going to make it a little big so you can see it. It's a scenario input. So you see here, you can input the maximum occupancy that you expect. So I'd say if I do 90, the daily attrition percentage, I'm just going to leave it 0. FTE hours per week required. The business operating days, for example. If you're outsourcing some contacts you don't want to consider during capacity planning, you can put that there. Also, max overtime and VTO allowed. So it just gives you a comparison of, if it exceeds the overtime VTO limits based on the optimization goals you set here. So you can set your optimization goals with service level targets. You say 95% of time, within 60, for example. And you can pick which channel you want to do. You can add multiple goals. So you have 2 optimization targets. One is the service level. The other one is average speed of answer. And once you create a scenario, you'll be able to go and create a capacity plan. So capacity plan is as easy as generate a capacity plan. You're going to give the name here. Let me see, cap plan, Amazon refunds, for example. So I'm going to create a description here. And I'm going to pick the same forecast group that we had. Obviously, there's no forecast here because it's going to generate tomorrow, so I'm going to pick another one. And then I'm going to pick a date. Let me do forecast group. So I'm going to do, say, December 2nd to March. And then you pick that scenario that you created. So I'm just going to pick the one. That's one of them there. And you create a capacity plan. That's it. It's as easy as you're just clicking a few buttons again, right? The magic happens behind the scenes again. We use machine learning, deep learning models to ensure we deliver the most accurate capacity plans as well. So let me open up an existing capacity plan to show you how it looks like. So this is the capacity plan that I generated yesterday. So this is the scenario input, so you would know what scenario was used to generate capacity plans. So now you can kind of have multiple scenarios and do the what-if analysis, right? So you know that, what will be the best option as a capacity planner to pick so that you get the maximum benefit of, achieving the service level targets with the least FTEs, for example. So here's a capacity plan. You would see, obviously, the inputs for the contact volume, average handle time, the output is about the required FTE, right? How many FTEs are required on, for example, a weekly basis. And you can also look at the monthly basis as well, so you give you both options. And also, if you provide additional input like the shrinkage and things like that, that's on top of it, it would show you what's the gap between the metrics. So if there's additional requirement there, it will show you that based on the shrinkage, and also so you know how much you have to hire. So who uses this, by the way? If you want to go, tell your HR, if you want to go to your business leader and tell them, hey, by the way, we need X amount of people and Y skills in the next few months, this is how you can do that. And this really helps you easily predict accurate capacity requirements for the next 12 to 18 months. So that's the capacity planning module. And once you do the capacity planning, once it's done, let me go back and see. Okay, so this was the original one that we enabled, by the way. Oh, it's easy that you can see that it's enabled. It's just single click a button and it's done. And if you don't like it, you tried it, it doesn't fit your use case needs, you can easily uncheck it right away. So you could just put confirm, and it gets disabled as well. So it becomes very easy for you to enable and disable it. Okay, done. So what we do is we keep the data for 30 days, just to make sure that if you decide to come back, within 30 days, all your forecast capacity plan schedules are available. After 30 days, we clean out the data. But you can continue using Amazon Connect, obviously, but all the workforce data will be gone. So that's so easy to do, to enable and disable the services. And lastly, then let's go to the scheduling module. Okay, let me make it smaller. Okay, so now you created a forecast, and using that forecast, you created a capacity plan. There's long-term capacity plan. Now, next, as a scheduler, what you would do is to create, understand the staffing every 15-minute or 30-minute, and then create shifts for the agent. So let me walk you through creation of a schedule and how you can do it easily. So the Schedule Manager tab here under Scheduling, that is used to create those schedules. So I'm going to do this first. I'm going to create a schedule and then go walk you through these different components, because it's going to take a few minutes to create a schedule, and I want to show you how easy it is to do that. So first, I'm going to click the Generate Schedule here, and then I'm going to give a name. So let me use an existing name so it's easy to rename it. All right, so I'm going to click Create a Schedule, and I'm going to, I'm going to do it for January 2023. Jan schedule, and then I'm going to pick the forecast group here. The one that we just created, it doesn't have forecast, so there's no point in creating that. So I'm going to use the one that's already there. I know which groups, so the groups that I'm going to create schedules for appear here, and I'm going to walk you through that, how we do it after this. And so let's look at January. Okay, let's do Jan 1 to Jan 7. Okay. And I give my service level targets here. So let me say 900, 600. Say I pick voice here. I could also add another one for chat, or I could do both here, right? So I could pick, depending on your line of business, how you run, which channels you use, you can do that, and generate schedule. That's it. So I'll wait for it to generate. It might take 5 to 10 minutes. So now I've started that. Let me go to different capabilities, how you can create a schedule. Okay. The first thing you need to know about is shift activities. Shift activities are things that you do, an agent does in the course of a shift. For example, taking contacts, breaks, lunches, meals, things like that. So let's quickly create a couple of shift activities here. Break 30 minutes, for example. And then there are 3 types, right? There's productive activities, there's a non-productive activity, or a time-off activity. So you can create all of those kinds of activities from here. So I'm going to say break is a non-productive activity, and then a subtype will be a break or a meal, obviously. So this helps in a lot more shift adjustment automation, and I'll get to that. Now, what's the duration? I'm going to say it's 30 minutes, so I'm going to go mark it for 30 minutes here. The other piece about, whether do you want to track adherence or not. So something unique here is that you could track adherence by activity. You don't have to track it for the whole shift. If you have activities that you don't care about to track adherence, you do not have to do it. So I'm going to say yes for this, obviously. And whether it's paid, yes or no, you want to track that so that when you go look at your historical metrics, you want to know what's the how much time did the agent do paid hours of work. Right? That's the idea here. So you could say yes, it's a paid break. I could do also meal, 1 hour. So you could create multiple activities here, break or meal. So I'm going to do, I'm going to do 1 hour. And then I'm going to say adherence yes, paid no, not paid. So that's it. So you create things that the agent would do, right? So using the shift activity window. Next, you go to shift profiles. And shift profiles are used to define the structure of a shift, right? What days of the week the agent would work, what time of the day the agent would work, what are the activities the agent would do, what are the different rules that the agent have to adhere to, and things like that. So I have created 2 here, but I'm going to go and create at least 1 for you. So I'm going to add new shift activity. So new shift Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, for example. So I'm going to do Monday to Friday. So these are the days the agent would work. This 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. is a shift, how it looks like. And I'm going to go add shift activities. So I created 2, the break 30 minutes, and then I create a meal, 1 hour. So these are the things I created. So you add that. And what it does actually is that if you point this to a group of agents, it would create this same structure schedules for those agents, right? That's the idea here. So the shift activities, 2 of the activities that you added, one is a break, another one is a meal. So the break, this is the placement. How do you place those breaks, for example? So if you want this break to start 1 hour, 30 minutes from the start of a shift, that's what you say here. And then you would also give a window so that the system knows exactly what the wiggle room is for it to place these breaks, right? So it starts at 9 a.m., so that means that between 10:30, and I'm going to put 2 hours here, between 10:30 and 12, the system can place that break anywhere. So this helps to make sure that the system doesn't stack all the breaks at the same time, and there's no agents to be able to take contacts when the contact comes in, right? So this gives that wiggle room for the system to make sure it builds this most efficient schedule as much as possible. Right? That's the break. Same thing with the meal. So I would say, okay, 3 hours from the beginning of a shift, and then you can give a wiggle room. So it's actually 3:30, so I'm going to 3:30 and give a wiggle room of, say, 2 hours as well. Okay, so that is my new shift, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So that's the shift profile that I created. And I'm gonna reuse some of the existing shift profiles as well to create those schedules. The next one is staffing groups. So now you know that you create the activities that you do as agents would do in the course of a shift. What are the where the activities has to be placed? What the shift structure with shift profile? Now you have to group those agents together so that you can assign those shift profiles, and that's staffing group. I created 2 staffing groups here. One is the morning team and the evening team. Based on your org structure, you can create any patterns of staffing group. And what staffing group does is obviously you want to add the staff and group them together so that these are the agents that would take those specific types of contacts that's forecasted with the forecast group, right, that we did before. So you can add agents and supervisors. So there's add agents and add supervisors. So you'll be able to pick agents and supervisors. I have already added them here. So these are the set of supervisors here. You could add up to 5 supervisors. And you have all the agents here. And what I could do is to also set some rules as well. So one thing you could do is that the shift start time, you can focus on, hey, all the agents have to start at the same time. If you have, if your business requires that, you could do that. The second thing you could do is to have a minimum staff required. So sometimes you want, irrespective of the contact volume, you want at least 1 or 2 agents at the beginning of the shift. You can create that. You can add that. As well as now the working time is about, hey, how many minimum and maximum working hours that all these agents should do in the course of a day or a week. So that's the working time. So you could create all those rules here. as well as you can enable and disable time off here. For these group of agents, you may want to enable time off management. And so you could do that. The other piece that we've added is group elements. So if you want to define for specific time off types, maximum allowed hours for this group of agents that they can take, so they can manage and control the amount of agents available for taking contacts. So if it's critical days, for example, you don't want to give agents take any planned leave, for example, or if you don't want them to take a specific voluntary time off, you can add that, and then you go to that specific calendar day. For example, January 1st to January 8th, then you could say 0 here. That means they will be auto-rejected when they request for a time off. If you want to say, 100 here, that means there's 100 hours total all the set of these agents can take. So that is the group elements here. You can set, these values up to 13 months ahead, so that when they take this time off, they'll be able to, automatically accept or, reject it based on that, or they will be, they'll be auto notified on that. So that is the staffing group. Again, you group them together based on, again, like I said, your line of business, based on your org structure, and you can combine these multiple staffing groups to that to that forecast group. So for example, to the staffing group 1, that I added the second forecast group, and the staffing group 2, as well as I've added the same forecast group. So when I generated those schedules that you saw before, you saw that these were the 2 staffing groups available when you create those schedules. So this is how you assign the forecast group, as well as on the other side, you also assign that shift profile that you created, right? Remember, create the activities, you create the shift profile, and then you assign the shift profile to the staffing group here, so that it knows these agents have to follow that shift structure. Okay? So once you do that, the other thing you optionally can do is to set, for example, few things that would help you manage the labor rules or business rules for specific agents or more than one agent. So for example, if I take, say, one, if I look here, one, the time zone is US specific, so you can set the time zone here for one, or any other agent. You can also set the start time and start date and end date. So essentially, if you have hundreds of agents and then your schedule runs from Jan to March, if there are 15 agents who's going to join in February, you can just specify the date. And if there are 10 agents leaving in February, you can specify the end date. And what happens is the system automatically knows when to start the schedule and stop the schedule, so that you don't have to manually do a lot of these, adding and deleting the schedule. So those are those settings here. The other set of settings for complying with labor rules, for example, is the min working hours per day and per week, and max working hours per day and per week. Now, you notice that in the staffing group, you set that. This is to override that for specific agent level. So for example, if you have a staffing group with like 70 agents, for example, and out of that 5 agents are special needs employees, for example, their working hours are less, they need to be given additional time between shifts or gap between shifts, etc. You'll be able to set those at an employee or agent level here. And this setting overrides the one that's in the staffing group for those specific agents, so it becomes easy for you as a supervisor or scheduler to manage those schedules quickly. Okay, so these are the optional settings that you can set on an agent level or a user level. The main thing here to look at is the time zone, obviously. This will help the system know which time zone to display the agent shifts. You set that based on that. Okay, so this is it. So this is some initial configuration that you have to do. But after that, then it's going to be just easy to create these schedules. And let's look at it. So it's still running. Okay, yeah, it looks like it's done. So the generation of schedule has happened in Jan. So let's go look at it. So that's exactly why I created this, by the way, so that you can go, you don't have to wait for the schedules to appear. So let's look at it. Okay, there you go. So this is the schedule that we just generated for the set of agents. So what you see here is a scheduler draft schedule. That means it's not published yet. The agents cannot see it. So you see here, there's the refund group morning team with all the agents that we created in the staffing group. This is the refund group evening team with the schedule for the evening. The other thing that you notice here is the metrics here. So you will see all the metrics that per interval, per every 15 minute or 30 minute, that would help you understand how each 15 minute looks like in terms of headcount, occupancy that's forecasted, the service level value, et cetera. So for example, let's look at here. It looks like the goal was 95%, and actual service level is 100%. Again, this is the test data. That's why it may look different a little bit, but in your system, when you generate the schedule, you'd be able to see it's as close to achievable as possible from a system point of view. You see here, there's some overstaffing here, and this is almost a little understaffed. So there's a color coding that would help you easily detect how the staffing is understaffed or overstaffed, et cetera. Okay, so this is the schedule look like, and you can adjust the schedule. For example, if you want to edit the break, you'll be able to edit the break. You can move them around. For example, you'll be able to even move the schedule. You'll be able to replace. You can be able to remove, copy. All of those things that you can do manually, irrespective of how accurate the schedule is or efficient the schedule is, you'll be able to make those adjustments manually as well as the scheduler and before you publish it. Okay, once you're good with that, so for example, let me go back and show you how the agent schedule looks like too. And right now it's not published, so I don't think you'd see anything there, but let me go log in. And I'm gonna log in 2 agents, by the way, just so that I can show you other feature sets as well. Okay, so Lee. This is the agent 1. Agent 2. So okay, so I've logged in 2 agents. The way that you can do, you log in is the same interface. There's an agent application here. That is where you can view the schedule. So the shortcut is to go do the same URL. You add agent app E2, and you'll be able to see the unified agent workspace. And here you'll be able to set this, enable, make it available so that they can take contacts here. You can manage the contacts as an agent here. There are additional capabilities that you can see here that is part of Connect. For example, the cases, the customer profiles, and other capabilities that the agent it would help the agents to deliver a great customer experience. So this is the desktop. And if the agent has access to schedules, and that's again a security permission, you'll see this calendar view here. So you can click that, and it would automatically load the agent schedule. So I'll switch to here as well, just to make sure that we can see 2 schedules. Okay, it looks like there's some contacts going on. Let me go back here, click on the schedule here. So yeah, this is the agent schedule that's happening right now. So this is the time. So it's almost, the shift is over for Juan. So there, Juan can go home. Same thing with this. So let me go back and publish the schedule. And this, by the way, we did it for January. So let me go to January. Obviously, there's no schedule here. 1 second. January, yeah. So let me go and publish it. And once you publish it as scheduler, it makes it formal, official. All the supervisors get a notification that, hey, the schedule is published for your agents. All the agents will get notified that, hey, your schedule is available. So it takes a couple of minutes to publish. And once published, you'll be able to go check it out as a supervisor. Now, the supervisor permission I talked about, which is the published schedule calendar permission, if you have that, if you just have that, you would be able to see this view. And let me go here. This is a supervisor view. It looks like similar to the scheduler view, but this is the published schedule. So let me remove some of the metrics that the average speed of answer, service level. I'm going to remove some of these things, okay, to make it easier for you to view. So this is a schedule here from a supervisor point of view. And if you're a supervisor, and you will only see the agents that you manage here, so it becomes easy for you to pick and choose agents and manage their schedule easily. The new things that we've delivered as well is the ability to take time off, ability for creating overtime slots for agents, as well as voluntary time off slots. So time off, obviously, if the agent agent wants to take time off, as a supervisor, you can say, hey, I want to create time off for an agent. So let's try that too. But let me see if the schedule got published. Let me go back just to make sure that it's there. Yeah, the publish successful here. So I'm going to go back here and then see, there you go. So, oh, not that. So January, there you go. This is the schedule that just got published. So now the agent can see here. Let me go here, and the agent should be able to see the schedule here as well. There you go. This is the newly published schedule now. The agent can see it. Agent also has the drawer that they can view all the time offs and things like that. So let me quickly demo overtime scenario, how you can create overtime. So if I'm a supervisor, let me go this one. Let me create a time off for one. So it's as easy as clicking this button, and you give time off here for, say, 1. Pick the time off, say unpaid leave, for example. You can look at, let me go to 1, just look at the schedule, by the way. I'm going to go to January 3rd. Okay, this is January 3rd. So, okay, so I'm going to give a time off for 1 from 3 to 5. So it's very easy to give time off. You go click time off, you pick 1 here. January 3rd, 3 p.m. to January 3rd, December Jan 3rd. $5 p.m. and you can create, let me give a time off, unpaid leave, and request time off. And that's it. So it's as easy as that, and you'll be able to see that if I go to 1 here, there you go, see a notification here, sorry. And click on that, and you go to time off, you'll see that's pending. So I'll talk about pending, what the workflows, but as you can see, if you can click, go back and click on time off, you'll be able to see the time off is here. So it's here, it's pending. Now, why is it pending? So the way that we have built is an innovative way of auto-adjusting or auto-optimizing schedules if they're labor law specified. For example, if you have break rules, that means that you need to give a break for the agent every 2 hours of work, after 2 hours of work. If there's tons of time off and overtime ETOs happening, you as a supervisor would have to now go back and manually adjust the breaks, right? Because now this add-on time with overtime or time off will take the time off. You need to adjust the breaks and lunches. So the system would automatically use machine learning to readjust or re-optimize the schedule so that you as a supervisor do not have to keep on doing it day in, day out. So we have done that. So that's why it goes for pending. It takes a few minutes, and then it will automatically get approved. Now let's talk about overtime. Let me quickly show you how overtime works as well. So overtime helps you, if there's, for example, let me go show you here. As you can see here, there's a deficit of 4 agents that is here. So the headcount is forecasted as 8, for example, and the schedule is 5. There's 3 headcount deficit here. There's 3 here and 4 here. So between 5 and 6, I may want to choose overtime so that the agents can work extra time and then achieve those service level targets. And also make sure that the rest of the agents does not overwork there because their occupancy is higher than 100 here. So I'm going to create an overtime. So I have the ability here. I have 2 choices here. One, obviously, send overtime to all the agents in the group and notify them so that they can go and they'll be able to automatically accept or reject, or you want to focus on certain staff that you want to give overtime on. So I'm going to create an overtime activity between 5 and 6. So let me go 3, 4, 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. 6 p.m. and this is the overtime. I'm going to do by staffing group. Then I'm going to pick the staffing group, which is 9 staff here, which is the morning team. And then I'm going to say I need 3, for example, and then I request it. So the overtime is requested. As you can see here, it automatically populates here for all these agents. So now let's go and check what the agent experience looks like on the other side. So you can obviously edit as a supervisor, edit or cancel the overtime as you wish. So I'm going to go here. As you can see here, there's a notification of overtime. So I'm going to click here. Go here, do a quick refresh. Take a couple of minutes for the agent to see it. So there's a new overtime here. You can click on it, and you as an agent can accept or decline it. That's easy as that. So I'm going to accept it here. You know what? I'm going to decline this one here. And I'm going to go to the other agent. And then I'm going to go accept that overtime. This overtime here. Let me see where it is. Oh, there's the overtime. By the way, I have a paid leave here. And I'm going to go accept it. So as you see, one agent accepted it. The other agent declined it. So as a supervisor, you may want to see the full set of how many agents were sent overtime, how many agents accepted it, how many agents declined it, and you need the ability to kind of override some of these things as well. So that's what you can see here. So I'm going to go back, and then I'm going to quickly refresh to make sure that, so we don't have to wait 1 minute. Okay, so if you look at the overtime here, so looks like, yeah, Ronnie rejected it, and the other person is in pending. So if you look at one here, this person is pending here. And the reason why, like I said, it's pending is because obviously the system is re-optimizing to make sure that the breaks and lunches are optimized correctly. So if I want to go and say for Nikki, I'm going to go force approve it. I could do that from here as well. So I'm going to go Nikki approve. There you go. So got auto approved. So it becomes very easy for me as a supervisor to manage overtime, time off, voluntary time off, and the machine learning models behind the scenes will automatically take care of all the adjustments required to make sure that you get the most efficient schedules. It's compliant now to the labor rules that you have, and it's easy experience for them as well. So as you see here, there's one overtime that got approved from one. So you can see here the one's got approved. So you could see that the overtime automatically appears in the calendar view, and Nikki will be approved soon after that, and then as well as Ronnie rejected. So it becomes easy to manage all of that. Okay, so that is the high level. So you could see here, we were able to create forecasts, we were able to create the capacity plan, we were able to create schedules. We also have the adherence module. So if you go to the analytics optimization and go to real-time adherence, you can see the adherence of that, of folks, of your team members, for example. So this is the adherence view. As you can see here, there are agents who are adherent, there are agents that are not adherent, some of them are offline, but you'll be able to kind of pick and choose. For example, the last half an hour, you can go to agent hierarchy, make sure that you'll be able to view those for your specific hierarchy. And as you can see here, Sana has been not adherent. And you'll be able to compare, between what the activity they were doing and what their activity they're supposed to do. You can also look at the time of it, how much time they were being in adherence and how much time they're not being in adherence, for example. Okay, so that's real-time adherence. You can also do historical adherence. Go to agents here under, analytics optimization, historical adherence. Hit the gear button. Again, these are existing reports that's there. We added the additional capability of adherence. So let's look at the hierarchy level, how it looks like. So go to the hierarchy level. Let me see what filter. Okay, let's look at the hierarchy filter. See for this department overall, what are the adherence look like. These are the 4 metrics for adherence. So apply that. And you can see here, refund department, the adherence looks like, let's see, 82%, not bad, right? 82%. So you'd be able to get at a group level, but also you can go back and say, if you want to look at the grouping at an agent level, you can do that as well. There you go. So that's adherence. This is historical adherence. So you could see historically how agents have been performing And as you can see here, all agents are doing great except for a couple of them. So you'll be able to go coach them and whatnot. So this is the real-time adherence and the historic adherence module. And so that's that from a demo point of view. So as you saw, it's so easy for you to create forecasts, capacity plan schedules, as well as look at the adherence as well. So we have 4 more minutes, so I'm going to quickly run through the customer stories. And if you have any questions after that, please come to the mic and I can answer that. So AmeriFlex, by the way, is one of our initial customers. They are leading providers of benefits, employee benefits like FSA, HSA, et cetera. There are 2 challenges. One, their contact center need to scale up and down based on the churn that's happened in the recent past in 2 years. And so the seasonality of the contact volume has been significantly large. So ability to generate the accurate forecast has been was challenging for them. The second thing is on easy-to-use solution. They spend a lot of time training the agents, and there was a lot of churn for the agents. So they needed something that could be quickly trained, as well as the agent can can use it easily without spending tons and tons of hours or months. And so we were able to deliver this capability quickly. They were deployed for hundreds of agents, and they were able to use it to save tons of time, money, and effort as well. That's AmeriFlex. And the second customer is Litigation Practice Group. They provide legal services to the end customers throughout the United States. The challenge for them was inaccurate forecasts. The existing capability, the workforce capability they had, the accuracy of the forecast was less than 90% for their line of businesses. And what happened was deploying Amazon Connect, forecasting, capacity planning, and scheduling, they were able to achieve more than 95% accuracy, significantly higher than what they had before. Okay, so those are two customer codes. I know that we have another customer too, Megan. Megan is, has been working with us a lot. Megan, you want to stand up? That's Megan, and thank you for joining today. And I would let you ask any questions if you have any, or if you don't have a question, I would ask you a question, what your experience has been with Amazon Connect forecasting, capacity planning, and scheduling.